Hey everybody, I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is WiseGirl live on Facebook. It is about 3:30 right now, so I thought that some of you might need a little stretch break or maybe a little diversion from your daily work routine. And so here it is, if you would like to check it out. I'm talking about resolutions, and we all know that resolutions are one of those things that I don't know, we almost can't keep ourselves from having them or trying to make them as we come up into the new year. But at the same time, we've all been there where we kind of try something and then we drop it off. And we say we're going to get back on the horse again, and then we get upset with ourselves when we can't. But here's the thing. I have a bit of a different perspective these days on resolutions and on what it means to be resolute. I just looked this up in the dictionary, so I'll share with you the definition of resolute. It says, admirably purposeful, determined, and unwavering. And it says, resolved, adamant, single-minded, persistent, tenacious, yada, yada, yada. That idea that there is no other way except for the way that I'm going to do it as I set out on January 1st to conquer the world, or 2nd for some folks, or whatever it is. Go to the gym 3 times a week, eat only this, don't eat that, act this way with my kids or my spouse or my friends or my job or whatever. So the one thing that I've learned over these last couple of years that I've been studying a lot of the things that I've been studying in mindfulness and meditation teachings and in, frankly, just the spiritual realm in a way of just sort of not really being religious, but being open and expanded to a larger sense of things, is this idea of letting go of fixed ideas. So what does that mean? That means that, there's not just one answer. There's not just one way to do something. And that the way that we have thought about something in the past, based on our conditioning, based on the ways in which we have been told or suggested, either by our family of origin or our caretakers when we were young, or society at large, our circle of friends, that we don't necessarily have a lot of encouragement to go beyond where we are with this idea of clinging to a fixed idea. For example, there's a very conventional Western standard of beauty that I think is something that, we may all appreciate at a certain level. A beautiful woman can be thin and blonde and tall and whatnot, but she can also be many other things. A handsome man may be muscular and svelte and athletic and, be a great breadwinner or whatever, but he also may be other things. And the list goes on and on. And so this attachment to a fixed idea, this resolute part of resolutions, I'm not so sure, especially as it's a verb, is the most helpful way that we can be taking ourselves into the new year with compassion. What I would offer to you and invite you to consider and to think about a little bit is, if we can't be not so much resolute about going to the gym 3 times a week or whatever it is that we set for ourselves as a goal that we may or may not meet and pass and continue with over the next few weeks as we jump from January to February and beyond, but if we can be resolute about our intention. And our intention is something that requires that we actually take a step back before we take a step forward. And considering what our intention is, it's more along the lines of, what is it that I really want to accomplish? What are my deepest heart's desires? What is it at a very soulful level within myself that I might like to see expand or be greater than the space that I'm holding for it now? How can I set my compass in a general direction and trust that in time, my ship or my canoe or whatever it is that I'm in will move in that direction? So we're not necessarily saying, I must be the person who has this fixed idea about this particular city that I'm headed to on the coastline, but rather, I know that I want to get to Florida, right? And so I'm going to try to, navigate toward the direction of Florida. And I'm going to put my effort behind that, but there are going to be days when I'm going to have to tack if you're sailing. That means you kind of zigzag. It means you kind of don't necessarily have that direct, straight route. Now, in the Western world, we are often told that we need to set our goals, achieve them, go for it, make sure that we are going up that ladder, marching ahead, and doing things that, frankly, sometimes make us feel really uncomfortable. But the conditioning that we have received says anything less than that means that we are not relaxed into our truer state and divining what we really want, but rather that we're being lazy, right? So that voice comes up, the voice of criticism, that inner critic, the one that's been marketed to us, told to us by whomever it is, our family, our society, our school, our place of work, anything, where we receive messages that basically say, you need to do it really tough, sort of like in a rugged, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of way. But that doesn't feel very nice. And it rarely works over the long haul. So this idea of being resolute to an intention as opposed to an action, like going to the gym 3 times a week, might be, I'm just inviting you to consider something that may serve you well, in the sense that you can look at what it is that you want generally the direction of your life to go in, and sort of start putting your energy in that way. Seeing if I have anybody over here with comments. Put on a mask to give yourself a fun look. Tap the magic wand to try one. I'm not really even sure what that means. I think it's a Facebook thing, or a Facebook Live thing. So again, looking at this idea of having an intention in terms of being resolute as opposed to just some sort of fixed idea as to what it is. And so why is it important to let go of fixed ideas? Because things rarely stay fixed. We're all energy and matter, and everything is kind of impermanent, even though it looks like it's fixed. Like I have a teacup over here that looks like it's just a teacup, but it's actually a whole amalgamation of energy and matter and a whole bunch of other stuff like stardust that we are also made of, that are elements that comprise this particular teacup. So there's an element of impermanence to our lives that we don't really see because we don't really step beyond that which is our conditioned mind. And there's a reason for that. We want to keep ourselves going. We want to make sure that we are, in check in terms of our ego gets us up in the morning, right? It responds to the alarm. It gets on the subway or in our car and it drives us to work. But we also have to realize that there's more to it than that. And the more to it than that part is impermanence. There's death. There's suffering in terms of people's illnesses as people get older. There's surprises like job losses and breakups that we didn't anticipate. There's also pleasant surprises that we didn't think might ever happen, like an inheritance that comes out of the blue. And so if we were really resolute about always sticking to one idea about something, sometimes we miss the magic moment. Sometimes we're so focused on what's ahead of us that we don't see the beauty of what's available to us right now. And so this idea of setting your intention for the new year, as opposed to necessarily having to set a particular set of resolutions, may be useful for you. I don't know. It could be. I'm inviting you to consider it. To see whether or not there aren't things in your life when you ask yourself, what's my true, deepest heart's desire? What is it that I really want more of in my life? Not just to be thinner, because that's going to bring up a whole host of things of, well, why do I eat? Well, I shouldn't eat. Well, I eat because I'm anxious. Well, why am I anxious? Well, I'm at work and my boss is getting into a fight with me and I have to work to pay the rent and whatever. Right. We get that. We have compassion for that. We create space for that. We certainly make sure that we know that that part of you is being heard, and we have a lot of sympathy for that. But we don't add the shame in to say, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this behavior. And so now it's your resolution time. So let's get to the gym and stop eating those cookies. It's not going to work. However, if the intention is set like, listen, I'm a good egg. I'm doing my best. And I also think that I'm a little too stressed out. So instead of, staying with this particular job or boss or situation or whatever, I'm going to start thinking about and exploring some of the other things that I really love to do that maybe I can make a living at. And I'm just going to explore them, my hobby, spare time, or something like that. And I'm going to see what happens. And if you can cultivate putting your boat back in that direction, setting the compass back in that direction of what it is that's your heart's desire, the other stuff is going to start to take care of itself a little bit. You're not going to want to just go into the refrigerator. You're not going to want to just do that. And sure, you can say, instead of going and eating a bag of cookies, I'm going to go out for a walk or something. But that idea of being resolute about, for example, going to the gym 3 times a week come the first of the year, I'm not so sure that that's always the best way, because our whole approach to everything, in my view, at this stage of life, is the more that we can relax into the fact that things change, that they're impermanent, that we are always evolving, that things are unpredictable, and that if we stay open to things, and that if we remain available to what is happening right now, not what was happening yesterday or what might happen tomorrow that we have anxiety or fear about or whatever, or what happened yesterday that we might have resentments about, that we're able to, generally speaking, have more satisfaction and contentment and well-being in our own day-to-day lives, which then can lead us to the places that we might want to be, that we think that, a long list of resolutions might get us to. So, I don't know who else is on here. Hello, people. It's so nice to see you. And I guess that's about all I'll say for now. I posted a WiseGirl video, and I have another couple coming the next couple of days. But let me know if you like this format, and let me know if you think that you want to see more Facebook Lives or not, because this is a new thing, and maybe it's a good thing. I'm happy to do it at a fixed time every day if you want me to do it at noon or 2 or something like that. That works out for all of us. And I hope you all had a good holiday week, and Happy New Year to come. Take it easy.